it was situated in a manner so the image of your reflection in the mirror and the image of the person behind it would be of the same size. We don't have. I have to rush through this. I'll go rather quickly. So this was done in. This was projection on a little sculptural shape which I put in water. This was a pool which was about, I think, 15 feet wide and about 30 feet deep. It was double projection. There was a screen behind where we see city traffic, and there's a monk-like figure in the foreground. This is for channel work called Crossings, where I had some of the characters, again, leave their painted bodies and visit other paintings, as it were, or other memories, points, geographical spaces, and then come back to their own painted self and animate the shell of the body. And this is just different installations. Here, this was called Not From Here. There's a group of people who could be migrants, and they're standing by the side of a railway track, and with a small little station close by. And here, this is a 4-channel projection, but it seems totally seamless when it's projected. And this is because so the train seems to be almost life-size as it crosses from one end to the other. So here I used the device of separating the actual projection spaces by using these metal columns, like metal pillars which hold the work up. This is just a device. Yeah, there. Yes, this is without the projection at the moment that you see. There's a painting on the left and on the right. In the middle, I have altered the middle space for various installations. The two paintings ideally stand a few feet away from the wall, and on the wall I create textures. In this instance, it's clay. It's made of clay, the wall, and it's made into kind of a landscape on which these two characters, which are really one person, they come and wrestle. And in another instance, I had a carpet. That's a Gayatri show. So it slightly alters the meaning by just changing the middle space in it. In one of these, it was a fractured surface. So the bodies are all cracked and fractured as they wrestle in the midground. This is when it is projected on clay. And also the top part is lit up with a spotlight. So the top of the clay you see is lit up, and the bottom part you see the projection. I thought that would be about it.
We should maybe go back to the last image. Yes. When we had to take the work to China, the work is called Sweet Unease. Yeah, this one, this image. The work is called Sweet Unease, and the central portion was a carpet, and which the projected figures of the nude. No, the last one, just the last image.
Going to that.
This one, yeah, just this. And you can't show the nude body in Chinese art galleries. So we were able to send the two painted images on either side as a complete work. And this part, the carpet could go, but the projection didn't have to go because it could be carried by hand, and of course the work was then showed in the gallery. But I bring this up to speak to Ranbir a little bit about the fact that how these temporal spaces that you create seem so contained, and yet they move. Where was it? Where did you feel in your experience as a painter? I understand that when you grew up in Patiala, there used to be movie screenings in your house. There was a strong and intimate relationship with theater as well. And for several years you were painting. And within the painting, there was also the element of symbols and phantasms. But when did you feel the need to dislodge time and to make time a little more eccentric, if you like, a little more wayward, and a little more free?
Yes, I think this is probably when just working. I always have taken very long working on anything. So working on paintings as well, I used to take very long. And I think it was, I wanted the painting to do more. And somehow it couldn't do anything more that I wanted it to do. And then cinema had been my love, so I thought, well, I could bring in another element, the cinematic. But then, being familiar with what video could do, video art, whatever little I knew about it at the time, I knew that I could then use the knowledge of both of what can be accomplished in video and what is possible. In fact, looking at it as video allowed me greater freedom to play with it. And but some of the things, there's a lot, I believe, that's in there which comes from cinema.
Yes, it's also the scale of the imagination and the much smaller work with, with the mobile phone and the still life, in a way, then the video taking a loop back into the painting, if you like.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Yes. And also, I think there was also this sense, once the projection is right on the painting, and I make where, although I say that it reaches a point where it's not a painting or it's not a video either. But if I were to see that as a painting still a painting, because totally gelled one on top of the other, it was as if something else was breaking through the painting.
Yeah, there is this very deliberate asymmetry, what you call a gray space.
Indeed.
Where you enable some third meaning.
Yeah. But it was also then painting itself reaching a point where there was a great possibility within the painting itself.
Okay, we shift to Vivan Sundaram. We are halfway through our 1 hour. Okay. And our next speaker is Vivan Sundaram. I'm going to come here, Vivan.
No, Vivan, why don't you come here? It'll be simpler.
I'll come here.
I'll go over there.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ranbir.
I'll put it on. Is it on?
Yes.
Okay, I'll click it.
And the video is behind you. This one.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Gayatri, for setting this up, and I'm really happy that I'm with Ranbir, because as the title goes, from painting to the moving image, I don't think any artist in India, or maybe across the world even, who has in such a passionate and engaged manner dealt with the painted image. Literally, the painted image is the support on which the projection takes place. And it's a real loss for people who are here who have not seen his work, that how it moves from that painted image, and which he used the still life, to the moving factor. So we really saw only half his work, and I'm sorry that took place, but anyway. I'm going to speak very specifically about a body of work which is very personal, and which is my family, my maternal family, which I've been involved now literally to date almost for 40 years in different capacities. But I will start with a with a painting called the Shergill Family. And this was at the middle of what was a movement in the 80s called Place for People, where both the personal, the social, and the public became or informed a lot of contemporary art. And this is done around the middle of that moment. In fact, one of the first paintings I did was a portrait of my father, and it required some courage to paint one's father, but I was just turning 40, and as Giv Patel said, when you're able to paint your father, you've come of age. Well, in deciding to paint my maternal family, I somehow decided that in order to distance myself from the family, I must paint a very large painting. And I'd never done a painting. This is 8 feet high, 6 by 8. And I think that some of the thoughts that I got, and it was also just the early moments of looking into the family through the photograph. And in the years later, in which you will see, all these photographs are from a family album, and they are taken by Umrao Singh Shergill, who now has been named as one of the pioneers of modern Indian photography. And the word still or still life, which also interested me right early on when in London, apart from, you didn't have to study history of art, you could study the history of cinema. And I got deeply attracted to the films of Alain Resnais, and in particularly to a film called Muriel, which has about 700 shots in a 2-hour film. And so you can imagine the duration of many of them. And they very strongly foregrounded the still life. The idea of posing and also of the archival material being brought forth. So in fact, all my paintings, unlike my very close friend Bhupen Khakkar or Nalini Malani, who had such facility to move the figure around, my figures were always very stiff. And they were also stiff because they were taken on the basis of a still photograph. And so as you see here, the archival material, which then engages me later on, which you will see, informs the making or the construction of the work. Now, when I thought of this, and as you will see, that the center is a void, that there's an empty space, and I started to think of the viewer's view of how a person could, in a sense, it's a flat space. There isn't any real sense of perspectival depth in the kind of Renaissance sense that you can walk in, but there is a space in which you enter, and there is a strange kind of perspective, because I'm sure even in this slide, you would have noticed that this shadowy figure right at the top left-hand, right-hand corner, is the old man, and that's Umrao Singh, that the eye kind of travels up. And in dealing with this family, a bourgeois nuclear family, very intensely close, but also highly isolated, fragmented, and living very much in their own worlds. And so I construct this with the objects that frame them in some relationship to what they are about. And this was a painting called narrative painting, and if one painted even a single figure without necessarily an open story, there was always a kind of story and a context, and how this played itself out. And so, although this is an interior, but it's an imaginary interior, it has a vast sense of a landscape. Even the painting at the back could be a window, and it is the Shergill family, the younger members, out somewhere near Lake Balaton, enjoying the summer. So this aspect of moving in and out was something that I hoped to achieve in this painting. And as I said, that the center was a void. Kumar Shani was asked, there was a series that Ashok Vajpayee did on people speaking on a single work. And he decided to choose the Shergill family. And I will read it out, although you might be able to read it. Kumar Shani's words, that wonderful emptiness that is created, it's really the secret whereby he has defied perspective. If you imagine it as a trolley shot, crane and trolley shot, you would imagine how then these bodies are almost all of the same size. Even though perspective is supposed to be stretching and you accept it because of the structure, the unifying quality of the structure. And therefore that temporal element enters in a way, in a completely unknown way. This emptiness here, which is filled by a texture which records